Will following my heart set me free? A few years ago, I was speaking in Kiev in Ukraine, and I arrived shortly after weeks of protests had culminated in a sudden and violent end. I walked through Maidan Square and saw the remnants of those protests and sensed a great sense of excitement at the possibility of the freedom that people were now feeling. Tragically, things didn't pan out the way that they had hoped. But freedom is something that we all want, no matter who we are, no matter where we live. And there are different types of freedom, aren't there? There's political freedom, the freedom to vote for whoever I want. There's freedom of speech, the freedom to be able to say whatever I want. And then there's personal freedom as well, isn't there? The freedom to do whatever I want. But what is freedom? I guess for many of us, we would define freedom as the ability to do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. It's life without limits. It's life without restrictions. And certainly for the last 200 years since the Enlightenment, that's been the predominant view of freedom in the West. But is that really what freedom is all about? And are we really as free as we think we are? So many people think that God and religion and the Christian faith would somehow limit or restrict their freedom. People think that if they were to embrace Christianity, that would be an end to their freedom. In fact, one of the reasons why many people reject the idea of God is not because they can't believe, a lack of evidence. It's that they don't want to believe. They don't like the idea of a God who might somehow restrict their freedom and their lifestyle. Aldous Huxley, the famous atheist, said that his atheism was an instrument of liberation for him and his friends. But actually, could it be that far from wanting to take away our freedom, it is in God, as discovered in Jesus, that we can find real and true freedom? Jesus spoke about freedom himself. On one occasion he said this. He said, "Anyone who sins is a slave to sin. But if the Son, speaking of himself, sets you free, you will be free indeed." Jesus' words are really radical, aren't they? And they say two things. Firstly, Jesus saying that by nature, none of us are free. We are all ultimately slaves. Now, we may not like to think of ourselves as that, but are we really as free as we think we are? We might think we're doing whatever we want to do, but are we just following the crowd, or following our feelings, or being led by circumstances? So often we're controlled by things outside of us. We're not really free. We're just responding to what happens to us and to what other people expect of us. And Jesus says the problem with that is that we end up being slaves, and that can be so destructive to us. But Jesus says, I have come to set you free. Jesus has not come to limit or take away our freedom, but to give us true freedom. What kind of freedom can Jesus give? Well, firstly, he talks about the freedom of forgiveness. So many of us can carry around a weight of guilt and shame for maybe the things that we've done or said or thought. And Jesus has come through his death to give us freedom from all that guilt and all of that shame. He wants to set us free from the things that would continually make us look back in our past. He also wants to set us free from that destructive side of our human nature that so often means that we go the wrong way rather than the right way, and make the wrong choices rather than the right choices in life. We don't have the power in ourselves to sum up the ability to be able to be the people we really want to be, but Jesus can give us his power through his resurrection and set us free to be the people we were created to be. And also Jesus wants to give us freedom from fear. So many of us have a fear of the future, a fear of the unknown, and yet Jesus says if we trust him and follow him, he can give us real freedom, a freedom that means that we can face the uncertain future with hope and security. Jesus is the one who can really give us freedom. Far from taking it away, it's only in Jesus that we can really find it. I wonder if you've discovered that freedom for yourself. Or why not join us this evening as we think about this topic of freedom in more detail, and you can have an opportunity to ask your own questions. It would be great to see you there.